Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. And Monday Night Raw tonight, it was a decent show, in my opinion. It was better than the shows that we have gotten, recently. But still, the show was decent. I thought the wrestling was good tonight. I wasn't bored by the show. Yeah, you had some, shit here and there, but overall, decent Monday Night Raw was tonight. But tonight on the show, we saw Gunther take on Matt Riddle. This was their rematch from Money in the Bank. We had the Women's Tag Team Championship on the line, where Liv Morgan and Smiley Raquel Rodriguez defend the titles against SONYA Deville and Chelsea Green. We had the Viking Rules match. The Viking Raiders took on the Alpha Academy. We had Shayna Baszler versus Nikki Cross. Bronson Reed versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And in the main event, we had the Undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship on the line. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens defend the titles against Damian Priest and Dominik Mysterio. But, we've seen Sami Zayn and Owens and Priest and Dominik go at it, before. But overall, Monday Night Raw, surprisingly, was a decent show tonight. Wasn't as bad as the past Raws that we have gotten. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Cody Rhodes. This was in Cody's hometown, and Cody made his way out to the ring. Big ovation from the crowd. Everybody singing along. It was American Idol here, and people were singing "Whoa" as always, twice tonight. So, Cody was in his ring gear. I don't know why. So, he kept saying, so Atlanta, my home, what do you guys want to talk about? And Cody was getting all emotional here. He had tears in his eyes. So, Cody ended up saying, oh, they really don't have to talk, because there's a large shadow that looms over this sold-out arena. He ended up saying that it's the same shadow that looms over every arena we go to. He ended up saying, we're talking, of course, about Brock Lesnar. So the crowd booed at Lesnar's name. Cody ended up saying, one thing is for sure, when Lesnar's card is called, he shows up. He ended up saying that him and Lesnar don't have to talk, and that Lesnar should come to this ring and accept his challenge for SummerSlam. So Cody ended up saying, you heard him, Brock. Get out here right now. So the crowd ended up cheering. Cody ended up waiting for Lesnar to come out. But Lesnar's music didn't play. The crowd began to boo. So we end up having Cody end up saying that Lesnar will be fashionably late tonight. He ended up saying that if that's the plan to show up at 9 o'clock, he'll be waiting in the ring for Lesnar. Cody ended up saying if it's 10 o'clock, he'll be in the ring waiting for Lesnar. He ended up saying that if Lesnar waits until the end of the night, he'll be in this ring waiting for him. So the crowd started chanting for Cody, which this crowd tonight, Monday Night Raw was sold out in the State Farm Arena. So Cody ended up saying that he would be remiss if he didn't bring this up. He ended up saying that this is the house that built him. But they may not know that the woman who built him is in the front row. So we saw Cody's mom sitting in the front row, Michelle Rhodes. So he ended up saying that there's a reaction. His catchphrase isn't, let's get funky like a monkey. So Cody ended up wishing that he could do it like his father. Of course, he had to mention, of course, Dusty. He had to get a little Dusty in there. He ended up saying, but the one that taught him to get up out of the mud and how to be a fighter is his mom. So Cody's mom, Michelle, was getting very emotional. So Cody ended up saying that his relationship with Brock Lesnar is complex, and only 2 words can describe it. He ended up saying they're not 2 words that he uses frequently, but the only 2 that fits his relationship with Lesnar is hard times. He ended up saying that's okay, because when Lesnar shows up tonight, it won't be hard times for him in his home state in front of his crowd. So Cody ended up saying that it will be hard times for Lesnar. So Cody then ended up telling the crowd to enjoy Monday Night Raw. He got out of the ring. He went over to the front row. His mom was there, of course, and his family. They were all sitting front row. So then all of a sudden, Brock Lesnar's music ended up hitting. So Cody ended up going to the ramp. He was preparing to fight, and Lesnar didn't come out. So Cody nodded in frustration, and Cody ended up cautiously heading up the ramp. He then turned to the crowd, and then once again, Brock Lesnar's music ended up hitting. Cody Rhodes was waiting for Lesnar to come out. Still, Lesnar didn't come out. So then Cody charged backstage. And then all of a sudden, we saw a chair fly out of gorilla position. So Brock Lesnar shoved Cody back onto the stage. So Lesnar took the chair. He ended up smashing the chair off of Cody's back. Lesnar then bent the chair over Cody's back, and he threw Cody into the apron. Lesnar then sent Cody into the ring post, and he hoisted him up. So Lesnar gave Cody an F5 on the floor in front of, Michelle, Cody's mom. So Lesnar then smiled at Cody's family, which I thought was funny. How that he had that smile on his face. So Lesnar then applied a Kimura lock. And the Kimura lock, of course, was the same, move that Lesnar did on Cody when he fractured Cody's arm, months ago. So Lesnar then released the hold, and he ended up sending Cody into the ring. Cody's mom ended up shouting, "You suck," to Brock Lesnar. So Lesnar got into the ring, and once again, Lesnar ended up applying the Kimura lock to Cody. Lesnar released the hold. He stood over Cody, and he ended up shouting, "Challenge accepted. I'll see you at SummerSlam, bitch." So then Lesnar ended up walking off, got boos from the crowd, and pretty much that was basically how the segment ended. But overall, I thought this was a decent segment here. Still no explanation as to why, Lesnar is attacking Cody. Even Cody said last week he doesn't understand why, Lesnar is coming after him. So there you go. We got Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. Obviously, we all knew it was going to happen. The third match between them. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw a recap of, Brock Lesnar attacking Cody. And during the commercial break, Brock Lesnar returned to the ring, and he ended up smashing steel chair to Cody's back again. So that was what happened during the commercial. And then we went to the first match of the night, which was Matt Riddle versus Gunther. And this was their rematch from Money in the Bank. This was non-title, of course. The Intercontinental Championship wasn't on the line. So Matt Riddle ended up coming out first. And then Gunther then came out. And Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci were banned from ringside. So Riddle and Gunther were going one-on-one. So Vinci and Kaiser end up accompanying Gunther for his entrance. And then they were sent to the back. Which, the match itself, it was a good match. So, match started with Riddle and Gunther locking up. Riddle ended up quickly grabbing Gunther's arm, but Gunther ended up twisting out. Gunther ended up backing Riddle into the corner. And Gunther then delivered some vicious chops to Riddle, which we all know how hard those chops are from Gunther, which those chops echo throughout the arena. So Gunther was talking trash to Riddle, and he pie-faced him. Riddle fought back. He ended up going for the guillotine to Gunther. Gunther tried to get Riddle on his shoulders, but Riddle ended up transitioning into a sleeper hold onto Gunther. Gunther then flipped Riddle off his back, and he ended up going for a rear naked choke, to which Riddle fought out, and he ended up going for an armbar to Gunther. Gunther then rolled Riddle up to counter, and Riddle ended up kicking out. Gunther then ducked a kick from Riddle. Riddle ended up flipping through a back suplex, and he ended up catching Gunther with a flying triangle choke attempt, but Gunther ended up fighting out of it. Gunther powered Riddle up, but Riddle ended up elbowing Gunther. He pulled Gunther over the top rope. Riddle then kicked Gunther in the chest from the apron. He ended up charging, and he jumped off the steel steps, but Gunther ended up chopping Riddle out of midair. Gunther then ended up hitting a stiff scoop slam to Riddle on the floor. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, both Gunther and Riddle were down. Riddle ended up hitting Gunther with a top rope superplex, which that happened during the commercial break. So both Riddle and Gunther got to their feet. They were exchanging chops to each other. And those chops were really vicious and nasty. So Riddle ended up kicking Gunther's arm away, but Gunther ended up chopping at Riddle. Riddle then knocked Gunther to the corner with an overhead kick. He then ended up hitting a pair of running forearms in the corner to Gunther, and he ended up going for an exploder. So Gunther ended up hitting an uppercut to Riddle. Riddle ended up managing to catch Gunther with an exploder, and then he ended up kicking Gunther in the spine. Gunther ended up blocking a kick, and he ended up delivering a vicious chop to Riddle. So Riddle ended up fighting back with some kicks to Gunther. Gunther then continued to crush Riddle with some chops. Gunther then ended up hitting a German suplex. Riddle popped up, and Gunther ended up laying Riddle out with a lariat. And Gunther ended up going for the cover, to which Riddle ended up kicking out. And now at this point, we see Gunther's chest was beat red from the chops. Riddle ended up catching Gunther with a ripcord knee. He ended up hitting a second knee to Gunther's face. Riddle then kneed Gunther in the back of the head, and he ended up covering Gunther, to which Gunther kicked out. So Riddle was going for a floating bro. Gunther ended up getting his knees up. Gunther ended up catching Riddle with a drop kick, and he ended up following up with a powerbomb to Riddle. So Gunther ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Gunther ended up winning the match. Post-match, Gunther put the Intercontinental Championship around his waist, and he stood on the commentary table. Gunther got on the mic. He ended up saying that the crowd can boo him all they want. He ended up saying that it doesn't change the fact that tonight is the greatest night in their sad lives. He ended up saying they are seeing the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. He ended up saying that Matt Riddle is done. Gunther ended up saying that he is building a legacy, and if Drew McIntyre wants to ride on his coattails, he can be his guest. So Gunther ended up saying, just like everyone else, Drew McIntyre will fall victim to the ring general. So Gunther held up the Intercontinental Championship, and that was that. But overall, I thought this was a good match between Gunther and Matt Riddle. And also, good little promo from Gunther here. Gunther still continues to be dominant and, still be a, great Intercontinental Champion. And then we had Jackie Redmond. Jackie Redmond was backstage. She was with Smiley Raquel Rodriguez, and Liv Morgan. Jackie Redmond ended up asking Raquel and Liv what will be the deciding factor in their match against Chelsea Green and Liv Morgan for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Liv Morgan ended up saying to Redmond that her and Raquel are prepared for anything, and they won't back down from anyone. So then Rhea Ripley walked up to them, and Rhea Ripley ended up telling Jackie Redmond to leave. Raquel got in Rhea Ripley's face, and she ended up saying, "Not even you." So Liv Morgan started to talk to Rhea Ripley, but Rhea Ripley headbutted Liv Morgan down. Rhea Ripley and Raquel began to brawl, and so officials ended up having to pull both Raquel and Rhea Ripley away. Rhea Ripley ended up knocking Raquel in her knee, ended up knocking her down, and Raquel, looked to be in a lot of pain, selling the hurt knee, and pretty much that was basically that. And then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, the Judgment Day were in the ring. We had Damian Priest, Senor Money in the Bank, Finn Balor, Dominik Mysterio, Dirty Dom, and Rhea Ripley. So Rhea Ripley got on the mic. She ended up saying that the Judgment Day is stronger than ever. She ended up saying, did anyone ever really think that the Judgment Day would break up? She ended up saying anyone with half a brain cell knows they're better than everyone. She ended up saying that they're not fragile or shattered because someone's ego got bruised. She ended up saying now that no one can stop them, they not only run Monday Night Raw, they dominate it. So she ended up saying that Raquel Rodriguez just found that out because she is the most dominant woman in this industry. She ended up saying that she is unbeatable as the Women's World Champion. She ended up saying that Balor and Priest will become world champions. And tomorrow night on NXT, her Latino Heat, her Dirty Dom, will become the NXT North American Champion. So the crowd ended up booing at that, of course, piped in boos. So Dominik ended up going to speak. Of course, he got booed loudly, piped in boos. So Dom ended up saying tomorrow on NXT, he will beat Wesley. So the crowd ended up shutting Dom down. Damian Priest ended up saying all the boos won't change the fact that Dirty Dom will become the NXT North American Champion tomorrow night. And Priest ended up saying all those boos won't change the fact that he is guaranteed to be world champion. So Priest ended up telling Balor to take it easy because he gets the first crack at Seth Rollins. Balor ended up saying that he loves Priest. Balor ended up saying whatever Seth has to say later, he'll be listening. So Balor ended up saying that Rollins needs to remember that the issues they have will never be over until his arm is raised as the new World Heavyweight Champion. So Dominik started to talk again, and the crowd ended up viciously booing him, along with the piped-in boos. So Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, the Undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, end up coming out. We had the crowd end up chanting Sami. So Sami Zayn ended up getting on the mic. He ended up saying that he has a pretty good relationship with the WWE Universe. He ended up saying that he knows what they like and dislike. But to make sure they're on the same page, Sami Zayn ended up saying that he just wants to ask the fine people of Atlanta if they paid their hard-earned money to come here and listen to Dominik talk, to which the crowd booed. So Sami ended up saying, "Oh, did you all pay your hard-earned money to see someone shut Dom's mouth for him?" And the crowd ended up cheering. So Sami Zayn ended up saying they're in luck because Priest and Dominik will battle the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, which of course that was the main event of Monday Night Raw tonight. Priest ended up saying that they've been focused on individual championships, but he sees two titles that will look great in the Judgment Day. Priest ended up saying that if Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are so confident, why don't they put their titles on the line? So Kevin Owens was shown rubbing his eyes, and then we had the crowd end up doing a yes chant. Sami Zayn ended up saying that he wants his partner, Kevin Owens, to weigh in on this. So Owens looked a little agitated after, listening to the Judgment Day. So Owens looked surprised that Sami Zayn wanted him to comment. So Sami Zayn ended up saying, "Let her rip." Kevin Owens ended up confirming that he can lead with his heart. He ended up saying that he'll put the titles on the line as long as he gets to stun Damian Priest and put his fist down Dominik's mouth. So pretty much that was that. That set up the main event of Monday Night Raw tonight, which of course was Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens versus Damian Priest and Dominik Mysterio. Undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship were on the line. And then we saw Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. They were in the trainer's room with Adam Pearce. So a trainer ended up saying that Raquel is technically clear to compete, but you feel more comfortable with some scans. So Raquel and Liv Morgan declined having scans. So Pearce ended up saying that if Raquel is cleared, then the match is official. So the match was next after the commercial. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, the match took place. Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan versus Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. That's what Samantha Irvin says whenever she says Chelsea Green's name. Women's Tag Team Championship on the line. This was an okay match. Liv Morgan and Sonya Deville start off the match. Sonya Deville ended up catching Liv Morgan with a bicycle kick, and Chelsea Green ended up tagging in. Both Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville end up doing a double team delayed vertical suplex to Liv Morgan. Chelsea Green then dropped an elbow on Liv Morgan. She ended up going for the cover, to which Morgan ended up kicking out. Chelsea Green put Morgan in the corner head first, and she tagged Sonya Deville back in. Sonya Deville started punching away at Liv Morgan, and Sonya Deville then started to taunt the crowd. Liv Morgan ended up fighting Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville off. She ended up going for a tag to Raquel, but Sonya Deville ended up holding Liv Morgan back. Liv Morgan ended up getting away. She ended up pinning a step-up enziguri to Sonya Deville. So Raquel Rodriguez ended up running over Sonya Deville, and Raquel was still limping from the attack by Rhea Ripley. So Raquel ended up picking Sonya Deville up. She ended up hitting a fallaway slam. Chelsea Green tried to get involved, but Raquel ended up sending Chelsea Green out of the ring. Sonya Deville ended up quickly sending Raquel shoulder first into the ring post. Sonya Deville then ended up applying a single leg crab to Raquel's injured leg, to which Raquel was shown screaming in pain. She ended up reaching for the bottom rope, but Sonya Deville ended up pulling Raquel away. So Sonya Deville ended up clinching the single leg crab on Raquel. And there were points where she was trying to get to the rope, Raquel, but Sonya Deville ended up just pulling her back. And it was at a point in the match where Liv Morgan ended up hitting a breakup of the single leg crab, which was the weakest looking breakup I have seen. So Liv Morgan and Chelsea Green end up tagging in. Liv Morgan end up hitting a pair of shoulder tackles. She end up avalanching Chelsea Green in the corner. Liv Morgan end up hitting a step-up knee in the corner to Chelsea Green and threw her down. Liv Morgan came off the second rope with a flying code breaker, and then she connected with the Oblivion. She ended up going for the cover on Chelsea Green, but Sonya Deville broke up the pin. She ended up delivering a knee to Liv Morgan's face. Sonya Deville pulled Raquel off the apron, and she ended up hitting the chop block. So Liv Morgan started to fight Chelsea Green off and rolled Chelsea Green up, to which Chelsea ended up kicking out too. Sonya Deville ended up punching Liv Morgan in the face. Chelsea Green then ended up hitting the Unpretty Her, but Liv Morgan ended up kicking out as Chelsea Green ended up going for the cover on Liv Morgan. So Sonya Deville tagged in. Liv Morgan ended up attacking Chelsea Green. She ended up rolling Sonya Deville up, to which Deville ended up kicking out. Chelsea Green then hit a second Unpretty Her on Liv Morgan. Sonya Deville ended up immediately following up with a knee to Liv Morgan's face, and she ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville ended up winning the match, and they are the new Women's Tag Team Champions. And the crowd did not care. The crowd there absolutely did not care. So we had Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville celebrated with the Women's Tag Team Championship, and they got pyro. I'm like, why are they getting pyro for? They get pyro for titles that nobody gives a shit about. Overall, it was an okay women's match for the titles. But still, nobody's going to care that Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville are the Women's Tag Team Champions. So then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw Byron Saxton. Byron Saxton was backstage with Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. Byron Saxton had mentioned that they had a 2-on-1 advantage, both Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. But Sonya Deville ended up telling Byron Saxton that she doesn't want to hear about Raquel's fake injury. She ended up saying that they're the champions and have been champions since they first started teaming. Chelsea Green ended up saying that she has so many people to thank. She ended up saying, oh, like her fans, her family, thinking that she just won an Oscar. So Sonya Deville ended up cutting Chelsea Green off, ended up saying that they earned this victory. Chelsea Green then ended up thanking her friends from a tan salon. Sonya Deville ended up saying that they're going to run this division, and everybody better respect them. So that's what they had to say. Does anybody care? So then we went to Byron Saxton. He was backstage with Seth Rollins. Sit down interview with Seth Rollins. Rollins ended up saying to Byron Saxton that he has big plans for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam, and that the title deserves a marquee matchup. He ended up saying that it's a short list for the challengers, but Baszler has earned a place on that list. So I have Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, and Gunther. So then Finn Baszler interrupted the interview. Baszler sent Byron Saxton away. So Baszler ended up saying to Rollins that he wants his rematch. He ended up saying that he doesn't care how many other contenders there are, and that the line starts with him. Baszler ended up saying that Rollins knows, and he knows, that the issues between them are far from over. He ended up saying that Rollins should do what he has to do, and that is go talk to Adam Pearce and make the match. Rollins ended up saying that he understands where Baszler is coming from, and that Baszler needs to stop living in the past. Baszler then told Rollins that he's not living in the past, and that he's living in chaos. He ended up saying that's how he'll take the World Heavyweight Championship. Baszler ended up saying that he'll do to Rollins what Rollins did to him, and that is Baszler will hurt him and laugh in his face before taking his career and altering it forever. Rollins ended up saying this once. Rollins ended up saying that the World Heavyweight Championship is more than Balor's personal agenda. He ended up saying that it's bigger than both of them. So Rollins ended up saying that if him and Balor want to sell the score, they don't need a match for that. They can do that right here and now. Rollins ended up telling Balor to take a shot or get out of his face. Balor got up. He looked down at Rollins. Balor then walked off. Rollins then ended up asking if the interview is over. And then all of a sudden, Balor ended up hitting Rollins in the head with a chair, with a steel chair. Balor then stomped Rollins, ended up telling him to make the match. So pretty much that was basically that. But this was a good interview with Seth Rollins. You know, Finn Balor being there. Finn Balor wanted his rematch against Rollins. You know, set up for SummerSlam here. I liked how, you know, tonight we got, you know, build up to SummerSlam. So, but that's the match. Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. And then we had the Alpha Academy, Chad Gable and Otis, versus the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar. Alpha Academy was, of course, accompanied by Maxine Dupree. Viking Raiders accompanied by Valhalla. This was a Viking rules match. And I remember last week I said, oh, what the fuck is a Viking rules match? And I remembered that they had another Viking rules match. It was the Viking Raiders versus the New Day. And I forgot about that. So I think this is the second Viking rules match that's taken place. And this was a entertaining match here. And Titus O'Neil was on commentary for the match. And Titus O'Neil was a lot better on commentary than Kevin Patrick. Titus O'Neil was entertaining to listen to on commentary. And of course, the rules of a Viking rules match is that there are no rules and that falls count anywhere. So the Viking Raiders made their entrance on the bow of the ship, and Otis flipped Gable onto the Viking Raiders. Maxine Dupree then drop-kicked Valhalla down. Otis ended up attacking them, but Ivar ended up sending Otis into the ring post. Eric ended up scoop slamming Ivar off the bow of the ship and onto Otis. And that was a pretty rough landing for Ivar. Of course, Ivar has had, you know, neck issues. So the match ended up getting underway. Eric ended up getting out of an ankle lock from Chad Gable. Gable ended up flipping off the bow onto Ivar. And we had Otis and Chad Gable ended up sending Ivar into one of the Viking shields on the apron. Otis ended up shouting for Gable to get the tables, like the Dudley Boys. You know, like Bubba Ray Dudley. So Chad Gable ended up getting a table out from under the ring. And, of course, the crowd ended up cheering for that. So Eric ended up attacking Gable. Ivar ended up knocking Otis down. He avalanched him against the bow of the ship. The Viking Raiders ended up going for a double team to Otis, but Chad Gable ended up getting out of it. So Ivar ended up springboarding off the middle rope. Otis ended up catching Ivar, ended up hitting a slam to Ivar, and then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Eric ended up breaking up a pin attempt on Ivar. He ended up giving Gable a full Nelson knee. Ivar took Otis down. He ended up going to the top rope. Ivar then ended up hitting a moonsault. He ended up going for the cover on Otis. But Chad Gable ended up breaking it up with a moonsault, which was great. So Gable ended up hitting Ivar with a rolling German suplex. And Gable ended up going for the cover. And Eric broke up the pin. So Ivar ended up rolling onto the Viking boat to recover. Gable and Eric were exchanging blows in the center of the ring. Eric flipped Gable over, and Gable ended up fighting him off. Gable ended up kicking Eric, and he ended up hitting the ropes, but Eric ended up rocking Gable with a punch. Gable immediately delivered an exploder to Eric. Gable ended up getting to his feet, and Gable ended up going up to the top rope, and he leapt across the ring with a diving headbutt to Eric. So Chad Gable ended up going for the cover. Valhalla broke up the pin. So Maxine ended up hitting Valhalla with a diving crossbody block. Gable ended up retrieving Maxine's varsity jacket, to which Valhalla ended up taking last week. So Gable ended up putting the jacket on Maxine. Maxine ended up posing. She ended up going, "Oh, thank you," along with Chad Gable. And then Valhalla speared Maxine through a table that was leaning in the corner. So Eric and Ivar ended up sending Chad Gable headfirst through a pair of Viking shields, which they lined up the Viking shields on the ring apron. So Otis ended up getting into the ring. He ended up wiping out Ivar with an elbow. Otis ended up rolling under a clothesline from Eric and took Eric down. Otis hit Ivar with a scoop slam, and then he ended up hitting Eric with an exploder. Otis then avalanched Ivar and ended up knocking Eric back with a headbutt. Otis then ended up hitting a big powerbomb on Eric, and the crowd was just loving it here. Otis then ended up delivering the caterpillar to Ivar, and he went to the second rope. Valhalla ended up slapping Otis in the face, which caused the Viking Raiders to hit Otis with the Ragnarok, and they ended up going for cover. And there you go. The Viking Raiders ended up winning this Viking Rules match. Overall, this was a pretty entertaining Viking Rules match here. Good match. And obviously, the Viking Raiders were going to win it. But hopefully, this is the end of the Viking Raiders and Alpha Academy feud. Let's move on from this. I don't want to see any more matches with the Viking Raiders and the Alpha Academy. Move on. So then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Shayna Baszler versus Nikki Cross, which this lasted, 1 minute? So Baszler applied the Kirifuda clutch on Nikki Cross. Shayna Baszler won the match. Post-match, Ronda Rousey shouted. And she was on the mic. She kept saying, "And the crowd goes mild." So Ronda Rousey was shown in one of the suites in the arena. Ronda ended up saying that Shayna Baszler has criticized her for being handed an opportunity. She ended up saying that she didn't go through the indies or go to the performance center and work for years to make it to the main roster. Ronda ended up saying that she got an Olympic gold medal in judo, had an earth-shattering MMA career, and then was thrown to the wolves in WWE with no training or experience, only to emerge as a future Hall of Famer within a year. Ronda ended up saying that she has done everything Baszler has invested her time in, and eclipsed her every time. So Baszler got on the mic. She ended up challenging Ronda to get in the ring. So Ronda ended up declining to come down there and into the ring. So she invited Shayna Baszler to make her. So Baszler got out of the ring. She ended up getting the crowd. She ended up charging toward the suite that Ronda was in, but security ended up stopping Baszler. Ronda ended up saying that she'll help Baszler's career, like she's done before, and actually get her booked on SummerSlam. Ronda ended up saying to Baszler, "All right, I'll see you in Motor City, bitch." And then she ended up walking off. And that was that. So there we go. Again, Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam. And then we saw Jackie Redmond. Jackie Redmond was backstage with Ricochet. Ricochet ended up telling Jackie Redmond that Logan Paul doesn't get it. In the social media world, everyone is a joke to Logan Paul. Ricochet ended up saying here in WWE, Logan Paul is the joke. He ended up saying last week he brought the real fight to Logan Paul, but Logan Paul ducked out. So Ricochet ended up challenging Logan Paul to meet him in Tampa next week on Monday Night Raw. And Ricochet ended up saying that he will hurt Logan Paul's ego. So that was that. We're getting Ricochet and Logan Paul face to face next week on Monday Night Raw from Tampa. And then we had Miz TV. The Miz was in the ring. He welcomed everyone to the show, of course. So Miz bragged about being in a celebrity golf tournament. Who cares? He ended up saying that his guest has been on a downward spiral. So Miz ended up introducing the man, Becky Lynch. So Becky ended up making her way out. And what was with the clothing that Becky was wearing tonight? It looked like she was dressed in pajamas. So Miz ended up saying that Becky lost to Trish Stratus, lost that Money in the Bank, and lost to Zoe Stark. He ended up saying, has the man lost a step? So Becky threw the chairs out of the ring. She threw the 2 chairs out of the ring, and she got in the Miz's face. Becky then backed Miz up into the ropes. Becky got on the mic. She ended up saying that she's lost a lot of things this past year. One thing she hasn't lost is a step. She ended up telling the Miz that she's seen his show and knows he's going to bring out Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark. So Becky ended up telling Miz to do so before he loses his tiny testicles. Oh God, we're still on this tiny ball shit. When are we going to move on from this? It is absolutely fucking lame. It's not funny. So Miz ended up saying that was a bit much. And so he ended up introducing Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark. So Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark made their way down to the ring. Of course, Trish Stratus wearing the face mask. Becky Lynch ended up shouting for Trish Stratus to give her the rematch. Trish Stratus ended up telling Becky Lynch to settle down and stop being a child. She ended up saying that she thought Rue was in the ring. To which Rue, of course, is Becky Lynch's daughter. So Becky ended up telling Trish to keep her daughter's name out of her mouth. Trish ended up saying that Miz already pointed out that she beat Becky Lynch. So Zoe Stark ended up mentioning that she beat Becky as well. Trish ended up saying that they're done with Becky and that they're moving on. So she ended up saying that there's just one thing. So Trish Stratus ended up saying that she wants Becky to thank her. So Becky ended up saying that she bought Trish back and she let Trish in. And Trish ended up hitting her when she was at her lowest. So Becky ended up saying that Trish hasn't done as much as she has. She ended up saying that if Trish is as good as she says, then she'll give her the rematch. So Becky ended up running Trish down, and then Trish ended up shouting that she'll give Becky the rematch under a few conditions. So Trish ended up saying that Becky has to go through Zoe Stark, to which Becky ended up saying, done. So again, another rematch with Becky and Zoe. So Trish then ended up saying that if Becky loses to Zoe, she has to thank Trish, to which Becky said, done. So Trish ended up saying that the last thing Becky will have to get if she loses is that Becky has to get thank you Trish tattooed across her chest, to which Becky ended up saying, done. So Trish and Zoe end up laughing at her. Trish Stratus and Zoe end up going to attack Becky, but Becky ended up fighting both of them off. Becky then grabbed Trish Stratus's face mask and she ended up dropping it. Becky then punched Trish down before knocking Zoe Stark down. Becky then put Trish Stratus's face mask on and she headbutted Zoe Stark with the face mask. And then Becky stood tall in the ring. And pretty much that was basically that. So we're getting Becky Lynch versus Zoe Stark next week on Monday Night Raw again. And then we're going to get Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch at SummerSlam. I mean, we all know that this Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus feud is the worst thing about this show. It definitely is. I want them to move on from this after SummerSlam. This feud has been absolutely fucking awful. So then we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Bronson Reed. And this was a decent match here. So the bell ended up ringing. We had Bronson Reed end up taking Nakamura down. He started mocking Nakamura in the corner. And he ended up digging his foot into Nakamura. Nakamura started to fight back. He ended up going for a knee drop on the apron to Bronson Reed, but Bronson Reed ended up moving. Reed then ended up running Nakamura over with a diving shoulder tackle off the apron. So Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Nakamura ended up taking it to Bronson Reed with some kicks. Bronson Reed didn't go down, and he ended up sending Nakamura into the corner. Nakamura ended up avoiding an avalanche from Reed. He ended up taking Reed down with a dragon screw. Nakamura then kicked Reed in the back of his head, and Nakamura ended up going for the cover, to which Reed kicked out. Nakamura ended up kneeing Reed in the back, and he applied a chin block to Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed then powered Nakamura up, and Bronson Reed ended up hitting the Death Valley driver onto Nakamura, so Bronson Reed ended up going for the cover, to which Nakamura kicked out. So Bronson Reed headed to the top rope. Nakamura ended up kicking Reed in the head. He prevented Reed from hitting the tsunami to him. So Nakamura ended up kneeing Reed in the ribs. And Nakamura came off the second rope with a flying kick to Reed. Nakamura sized Reed up to hit the Kinshasa, but Reed ended up running Nakamura over with an avalanche. And then all of a sudden, Tommaso Ciampa ended up attacking Bronson Reed. Ciampa ended up kneeing Reed in his head to knock him out of the ring. So the referee called for the bell. So there you go. Bronson Reed won the match by disqualification. So Nakamura was not happy about this. Nakamura was not happy with Ciampa, and Nakamura ended up kicking Ciampa down. Nakamura then shouted at Ciampa and walked off, very frustrated. So pretty much that was that. Overall, a little decent match with Nakamura and Bronson Reed here. And then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Byron Saxton was with Nakamura. Byron Saxton ended up asking Nakamura about what just happened. So Nakamura ended up shouting at Saxton, saying that he's tired of everyone getting into his business. So it looks like Nakamura turned heel here. So once again, Nakamura is heel. I'm like, why? Why are we going back to Nakamura being a heel? And then Corey Graves and Kevin Patrick on commentary announced what we're going to see next week on Raw. Of course, we're going to be getting Becky Lynch versus Zoe Stark. If Becky ends up winning, she'll get a rematch with Trish Stratus. And then Drew McIntyre is going to return. He'll have a face-to-face with Gunther next week. Also, Logan Paul will also return next week. He'll confronting Ricochet. That'll probably be a face-to-face. So that's all lined up for Monday Night Raw next week in Tampa. Main event: Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Judgment Day. Damian Priest and Dominik Mysterio. Undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship on the line. Very good match this was. Very entertaining. And, of course, we had Baszler and Rhea Ripley also out there. So, we had Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins ran in through the crowd. He got into the ring. He hit Baszler with a suicide dive. And Rollins and Baszler brawled up the ramp. So the match ended up getting underway. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens ended up attacking both Priest and Dominik. So Sami Zayn was left in the ring with Damian Priest, started stomping him in the corner. Sami Zayn ended up chopping away at Damian Priest and started punching away at Priest in the corner. Priest ended up pounding out of the corner. He ended up slamming Sami Zayn into the turnbuckles. Sami then knocked Priest back, ended up hitting a flying elbow to his head. Priest ended up coming back with an uppercut to Sami Zayn. He ended up putting Sami Zayn in the corner. Priest ended up punching Sami Zayn down and tagged in Dominik. So Dominik then applied a side headlock to Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn whipped Dom off, dropping him down. He ended up leapfrogging Dominik and clotheslined him down. Sami Zayn started wrenching Dom's arm and he tagged Owens in. Sami Zayn ended up pinning Dominik with a drop toe hold, and Kevin Owens ended up following up with a senton splash. So Owens posed and he ended up hitting a second senton splash. He ended up telling Damian Priest to suck it. So Owens started punching Dom to the corner, ended up hitting a Vader Bomb elbow drop, and he ended up going for the cover, to which Dominik ended up kicking out. So Sami Zayn ended up tagging back in, started punching Dominik. Dominik ended up pushing Sami Zayn to the corner, and Priest ended up tagging in. Priest ended up attacking Sami Zayn, ended up hitting him with a right hand. So Dominik ended up tagging back in. He came off the second rope with a double axe handle to Sami Zayn's arm. Sami Zayn ended up reversing the whip and ended up hitting a back body drop to Dominik. So Sami Zayn started punching Dominik, ended up sending him into the ropes. Dominik ended up quickly pulling himself out of the ring. And Sami Zayn ended up going after Dom at ringside. He ended up bouncing Dominik off the commentary table. Rhea Ripley then got in Sami Zayn's face. And Dominik ended up hitting a baseball slide to Sami Zayn. Priest ended up coming in, ended up hitting Sami Zayn with a choke slam on the apron. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And then when Monday Night Raw came back from commercial, we had Kevin Owens end up getting the crowd fired up from the apron because the crowd were on their feet. Sami Zayn started to fight back at Damian Priest. He ended up crawling away for a tag to Kevin Owens, but Priest ended up stopping Sami Zayn from tagging in Owens. Sami Zayn ended up trying to punch out, but Damian Priest ended up clapping Sami Zayn's ears. Sami Zayn ended up getting out of a suplex and tagged Kevin Owens in. Kevin Owens ended up running in and knocked Dominik off the apron. He ended up taking Priest down, started punching away. Owens then clotheslined Priest over the top rope, ended up knocking Dominik to ringside. Owens started running over Dominik with a clothesline at ringside, and then he delivered one to Damian Priest. So Kevin Owens ended up hitting Damian Priest with a senton splash on the floor. Owens got on the apron. He ended up crushing Dominik with a frog splash on the floor. Kevin Owens ended up getting in the ring. He ended up going for a stunner on Priest, but Priest ended up pushing him off. Owens ended up sending Priest shoulder first to the ring post, and he ended up hitting him with a cannonball. Owens ended up heading up to the top rope. He ended up going for the swanton, but Priest got his knees up. Dominik ended up tagging in. He ended up hitting Owens with a frog splash, and Dominik ended up going for the cover, to which Sami Zayn broke up the pin. So later on, you had Dominik end up drop kicking Sami Zayn into the ropes for Dominik to hit the 619, but Sami Zayn countered that with a back body drop out to the floor. Kevin Owens ended up hitting Priest with a rolling senton off the apron. Sami Zayn then ended up taking Dominik out with a somersault senton. Sami Zayn got Dominik in the ring. Rhea Ripley ended up sending Kevin Owens into the ring steps. Priest then grabbed Sami Zayn and up snapping him off the top rope. Dominik then rolled Sami Zayn up, to which Sami Zayn ended up kicking out. So then all of a sudden, Liv Morgan ended up running down. and she pulled Rhea Ripley off the apron. Liv Morgan ended up attacking Rhea Ripley and tackled Rhea Ripley into the timekeeper's area. So Sami Zayn then ended up hitting Dominik with an exploder into the corner. Priest then ended up running in, but Owens ended up hitting Priest with the stunner. Sami Zayn then ended up delivering the haluva kick to Dominik. So Sami Zayn ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn end up winning the match, retaining the Undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship. And that was how Monday Night Raw went off the air. Overall, very good, entertaining matchup here. The crowd was on their feet during the match, and they were chanting, "This is awesome." So, but just very entertaining match it was. But overall, decent Monday Night Raw was tonight. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all Wednesday night for AEW Dynamite, which is going to be Blood and Guts. I'm not going to be doing a review. I will be actually doing a live watch-along for Blood and Guts for the whole Dynamite show on Wednesday. So join me Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Like I said, we'll be going live for Dynamite. You'll get my reactions to the show and also the Blood and Guts match. So, until then, see you all on Wednesday for the Dynamite watch-along. So, see you then.